Todd and Julie Chrisley talk their first interaction with each other. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before watching the video, please subscribe and like it. Todd and Julie Chrisley have talked about their first interaction with each other since getting released from federal prison. Fans have had a lot of questions about the situation. Was it weird? Was it awkward? There is a lot that people were wondering about the first time they reconnected. However, Todd and Julie have clarified the answers to fans' questions. There is a lot to unfold and uncover. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. In a rare and emotional moment of vulnerability, Todd and Julie Chrisley opened up about the first time they met, sharing details that many fans of Chrisley Knows Best never knew. Long before they became America's favorite reality TV couple, or the controversial household names they are today, there was a spark that neither one of them could deny. But their first interaction was not the instant fairy tale romance people might imagine. Todd, ever the storyteller with his signature Southern charm, didn't hold back as he painted a vivid picture of that unexpected encounter. Julie, sitting beside him with her gentle poise and quiet strength, laughed softly as he recalled how unimpressed she initially was. According to the couple, their meeting wasn't love at first sight, but it was definitely unforgettable. It was one of those moments that you look back on and think, God really has a sense of humor. Todd began, eyes twinkling with mischief and memory. He explained that he was in the middle of a hectic period in his life. Business booming, his confidence high, and his charm turned up to full blast. He was used to getting attention, used to making an impression. But Julie wasn't one of the many women who swooned immediately. She was quiet, reserved, and strikingly unimpressed. Julie chimed in, I just remember thinking, who is this loud man who thinks he owns the room? Her tone was playful, but her honesty was clear. Todd had walked into the room like he had known everyone for years, and Julie had remained in the background, quietly watching as he worked the space like a stage. Todd admitted he noticed her right away, but not because she gave him attention. In fact, it was because she didn't. That's what did it for me, he confessed. Every other woman there wanted to talk, but Julie? She sat there like she had a secret I wasn't in on, and I had to know what that secret was. That curiosity led to their first real conversation, a surprisingly deep and vulnerable exchange. Todd had made his way across the room with a rehearsed line ready to go, but Julie shut it down with a soft smile and a firm response. I don't play games, she told him that night. If you're going to talk to me, you better be real. That was the moment Todd says changed everything. She saw right through me, and I was used to being seen, but not like that. She looked past the money, the jokes, the flash, and she saw someone I didn't even fully see yet. Julie admitted she didn't expect anything serious to grow from that moment. She had her own life, her own quiet goals, and wasn't seeking the kind of whirlwind Todd usually brought into people's lives. But something about that night lingered. Todd had surprised her. Beneath the bravado, there was sincerity. There was a gentleness. And in the days that followed, he proved it wasn't just an act. What followed was not a perfect romance. There were setbacks. Life didn't magically open doors for them just because of a connection. But the two built something rooted in honesty, in humor, and in an understanding that went beyond appearances. We didn't fall in love overnight, Julie explained. We chose each other every single day. That's the part people don't always talk about. Real love isn't the moment, it's the millions of little choices that come after. That sentiment felt particularly poignant considering all the trials they faced as a couple, financial struggles, public scrutiny, and now prison time. But in speaking about their first interaction, there was a reminder that their foundation had always been solid, even when the world outside felt chaotic. Todd looked at Julie as if he were still trying to solve that same mystery she held the night they met. We've been through storms I never imagined, he said. But I'd still walk into that room 100 times just to talk to her for the first time again. It's rare for reality stars to speak so openly about the quiet beginnings that led to loud fame. But for Todd and Julie Chrisley, That humble and surprising start says more about their relationship than any headline ever could. Their first meeting wasn't glamorous, it wasn't planned, but it was real. And in a world full of scripted moments, that might be the most romantic part of all. Todd and Julie Chrisley spent a lot of time away. Todd and Julie Chrisley were incarcerated for 28 months. This is how long they also went without seeing each other. They were in federal prison for tax evasion and fraud. However, they still denied doing anything wrong. Donald Trump pardoned them recently, and they were able to come home. This was huge news for their family. Savannah had to take custody of her younger siblings, Grayson and Chloe. It was hard on everyone, not just Todd and Julie. Fans were glad to see that they were back home. Now the two are doing interviews and talking about everything fans have been wondering. The Chrisleys are working on putting their lives back together after their reputation was burned to the ground. Todd and Julie Chrisley have always appeared as a strong and united front, especially during their years on the hit reality series Chrisley Knows Best. But behind the glossy family photos and witty banter, there has been a deeper and quieter reality that the couple is only now beginning to open up about. How much time they actually spent apart over the years, and what that time away meant for their relationship, their family, and their sense of identity. Their lives, once filled with cameras, lights, and orchestrated scenes of laughter, have shifted dramatically. But what stayed with them is a truth that's finally bubbling to the surface. They spent more time away from each other than most fans ever knew, and it wasn't always by choice. Julie, calm and composed as ever, recently reflected on the early years of their marriage, describing them as both beautiful and bittersweet. Todd, ever the shonen, was building his empire, real estate, investments, brand partnerships. He was chasing dreams, Julie said softly, and I was holding down the reality of it all. The house, the kids, the routines. Their version of success came with a cost. Late-night flights, early morning calls, missed dinners, and birthdays that sometimes passed with a video message instead of a hug. For years, their lives were moving on two different tracks that only occasionally met at home base. The Chrisley household might have looked like a picture-perfect Southern family, but inside those walls were moments of solitude, loneliness, and longing, especially for Julie. I'm not saying he didn't try, she clarified. But life pulled us in different directions, and sometimes I wondered, how long can a marriage stretch before it snaps? Todd, candid in a way rarely seen outside the lens of reality TV, agreed. I thought I was doing it all for them, but I wasn't present. Not in the way a husband should be, not in the way a father should be, and eventually you realize that success means nothing if you're alone at the top. The couple now admits that the distance wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. As Todd's business life expanded and Julie took on the weight of motherhood with quiet strength, there were long stretches where they felt like strangers passing through the same house. They loved each other, yes, but love without time can turn into a memory instead of a living connection. And then came the legal troubles. The federal charges, the headlines, the prison sentences. The chaos that turned their world upside down also forced them to stop, to look at each other and ask questions they hadn't dared ask in years. When Todd and Julie were sentenced to serve time in separate federal prisons, it seemed like the final blow to a marriage that had already endured more than most. But surprisingly, it was in that extreme separation that they found something new. It gave us clarity, Todd shared. When you're alone with your thoughts, when the noise is gone, you start to remember the reasons you fell in love in the first place. Letters became their only form of connection, not emails, not texts, but handwritten letters passed through walls of regulation and time. Julie said each. They talk about their first interaction post-prison. Todd and Julie Chrisley have talked about their first interaction post-prison. Fans were wondering if it was weird or awkward. Julie claimed it was not at all. Todd then added, "For me, I was never away from her. She was in my spirit the entire time. I thought of every second of my day. And so when I hugged her the first time, it was like I was home. It was not like I had been missing, or I knew I was coming home with the same woman that I left. Now when I say the same, I'm in my heart spiritually. We have changed, and if we did not change in 28 months, it would have been wasted. It seems as though the interaction between the two was not weird, nor was it awkward. Todd knew he was coming home to Julie. It was just a matter of when. Todd was continuously thinking of her, and she was doing the same. However, they both admitted that they had changed, although they are glad that they did. What do you think about this situation? Are you shocked there was no weirdness? For the first time since their high-profile sentencing and time served in separate federal prisons, Todd and Julie Chrisley are finally opening up about the moment they laid eyes on each other again. A moment that was filled with emotion, silence, and a wave of feelings too big for words. After being apart for what felt like a lifetime, the Chrisley couple, known for their bold personalities and camera-ready smiles, found themselves in a rare and raw chapter of their lives. One that wasn't televised, wasn't rehearsed, and certainly wasn't glamorized. It was just two people, older now, perhaps more humbled, walking toward one another not with flesh but with grace. Julie described it as a breath I had been holding for too long. The moment she saw Todd again, her knees nearly gave out. They were no longer the picture-perfect couple from a primetime series. They were survivors of a storm that had tested their love, their patience, and their strength in unimaginable ways. He looked older, Julie said quietly, emotion welling in her voice. But his eyes were still Todd, still sharp, still warm, and still searching for me. Todd, never one to shy away from dramatics, admitted he had planned what he was going to say the entire ride there. But the moment he saw Julie, the words fell away. I just stood there, he said. I dreamed of that moment every single day behind those bars. But when I finally saw her, I couldn't speak. I didn't want to ruin it by saying anything stupid. They didn't rush into an embrace. Instead, they stood in stillness, taking in how much time had changed them and how much it hadn't. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was sacred. It was the kind of quiet only two people who have suffered deeply and separately can truly share. Julie eventually stepped forward and placed her hand on Todd's chest. Still beating, she whispered. That small gesture cracked open everything they had been holding in. The tears came, the smiles followed, and the first hug was less of a Hollywood kiss and spin and more of a collapse. Two souls sinking into each other, exhausted but grateful. There was no makeup, Julie admitted. No stylist, no cameras. Just me and him and the damage and the healing. I saw him, not the man on TV, not the man behind the scandals. Just my husband. For Todd, the reunion was a turning point. It was like life hit the restart button, he said. I had felt so far from her, not just in miles but in spirit. That moment brought me back. We found each other again. The couple revealed they didn't jump straight into talking about prison or the headlines. Instead, they spoke about the little things they missed. Julie talked about her garden, the meals she dreamed of cooking again. Todd talked about their kids, how much they'd grown, and the guilt he carried for not being there. They sat on a quiet bench outside the facility, just far enough from the noise of guards and gates, and shared stories as if no time had passed. The pain was there. The wounds were real. But so was the love. Todd acknowledged the damage their absence caused, especially for their children. But he also spoke about hope. You can't undo the past, he said. But you can show up for the future. That's what I'm going to do now. Julie nodded. We've lost time, but we haven't lost each other. That first post-prison interaction wasn't scripted or grand. It was human. A simple reunion full of fragile truths and quiet promises. They didn't need a red carpet to make it feel monumental. The journey from cell blocks to holding hands again was enough. As the world watches the Chrisleys try to rebuild their lives, what matters most to them isn't the spotlight they once had. It's the chance to rewrite their story in a way that honors where they've been and where they hope to go, together. Sound off in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, America Trends 24, and stay with us.